The Hitman is back for one last ride, and no one is happier than Brian Flores, who now has all the weapons at his disposal to have a dominating defense next season. And to honor the Hitman, we match his legacy with another all-time great to solidify why he is a future Hall of Famer guaranteed. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all Vikings updates as we head through a crazy free agency. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is the Hitman is back. So Tom Pelissero came out recently, a few minutes ago really, about a half hour ago, saying that six-time Pro Bowler safety Harrison Smith will return for a 14th season, agreeing to terms today on a new contract with the Vikings per sources. At age 36, Smith is still playing at a high level and can now add to his Hall of Fame resume. And Ian Rappaport following up saying that he gets $10.25 million base with incentives up to $14 million for his 14th season. And I don't doubt that he's going to hit those incentives. He's going to want to go out with a bang for his final season. And Harrison Smith, since signing his rookie contract, has appeared in 192 games, making 191 starts, so he has been super healthy. While on the field, the Notre Dame product has recorded 37 interceptions, 96 passes defended, 20 and a half sacks, 1,126 tackles, 48 tackles for loss, and 43 quarterback hits. If that doesn't scream Hall of Fame stats, I don't know what is. The only thing that's missing from this for Harrison Smith is, of course, a Lombardi, and that is what Minnesota is trying to do this season. They went to him, like we were saying in our last episode too. We were saying how the Vikings probably know something that we don't in the terms of Harrison Smith, because with all these free agency moves, safety was the one thing where now that Sam Darnold was gone, now that Cam Bynum was gone, now that they re-signed Byron Murphy, they went and fixed the offensive line and the defensive line. They went and shored up some guys in the secondary as well. The biggest question mark became Harrison Smith and what was he going to do. And with the moves that Minnesota was making, we were saying that with this, Minnesota probably went to Harrison Smith saying, hey, we have the pieces here to possibly go on one last run for your final season, and we can send you on your way with a Lombardi trophy, just like the Baltimore Ravens did with Ray Lewis, just like Peyton Manning did with the Broncos. And now Harrison Smith has a chance to become that third Hall of Famer in recent memory to go out with a bang like that, retiring with a Super Bowl. Hopefully Minnesota can do that. Obviously, it's still a long ways to go. We still have an entire season to play. JJ McCarthy will still be for all intents and purposes, a rookie quarterback. However, this is absolutely huge because the Vikings, with the amount of cap space they had left, about $19 million, they had just enough to go out and get one more piece. We thought it was going to be another piece from free agency. It turned out it was none other than our own, and we are so happy about it. I know Kirk isn't here to talk about it with me, but I know he is just as excited as I am. This is one that we were super concerned about the entire offseason. This is one that every Vikings fan, I'm pretty sure, was very concerned about because he was getting up there in age. He had been considering retirement before. He's taken pay cuts to stay in Minnesota because he wants to bring a Lombardi to the Twin Cities so bad, fulfill Paul Krause's legacy, and be one of that second all-time great safety for the Vikings. He already is in my book, but this would absolutely solidify it and get the one thing that Paul Krause never was able to get. Not to say that he would overtake Paul Krause in that sense, but it would just go to show that this Vikings secondary and that legacy that he would be leaving is a huge one. But what do you guys think about all of this, about Harrison Smith being re-signed, how this secondary is going to look? What do you think this means for Brian Flores? Because now, think of all the toys Brian Flores has now. He's got Jonathan Allen. He's got Javon Hargrave. He's got Harrison Smith. He's got Byron Murphy. He's got Josh Metellus. He's got Blake Cashman. He's got Andrew Van Ginkel. He's got Jonathan Grenard, Dallas Turner. The list goes on. Harrison Phillips. This Vikings defense is looking stellar, and finally one that can hopefully be feared by teams. I know with Theo Jackson, there's still some unproven commodities there, but he's paired with Byron Murphy right now. Then we got Harrison Smith in the secondary as well. Theo Jackson is going to be rotating between those positions just like Josh Metellus does, but Minnesota now has not only the stars, but also the depth to back it up. So this is going, and we also have Isaiah Rodgers too, not to forget. Forgot to mention him just there, but he is also a big piece as well. So him and Byron Murphy are going to be great. Josh Metellus rotating with Theo Jackson, going to be great. Harrison Smith, he will be fantastic as well as always, because he's only missed one game in his entire career, and hopefully this is him just going out on a high note with a great season to add to a Hall of Fame career and a Lombardi trophy to go along with it. But what do you guys think about the prospects of this defense? Do you guys think this is finally a defense that we have for the first time in almost seemingly maybe 5-10 years where we finally have a defense that will be feared, just like we were in those glory days where we had Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffen. We had Patrick Peterson in the secondary as well. Harrison Smith has always been there, but when he had Anderson Dejo, and even back to the Williams wall of Kevin and Pat Williams now with Jonathan Allen, Harrison Phillips, and Javon Hargrave forming that three-headed monster, because we know the Vikings like to run a lot of three linebacker sets, and they're probably going to trust in those three guys to get up front while sending one more guy on the edge, probably Dallas Turner. So this is going to be a very interesting defense going forward. I think Brian Flores is really going to switch up his schemes, and he has a lot to work with. But what do you guys think about how Brian Flores is going to work with this? Let us know down in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is building on legacy. Now, you saw in the intro video that we included Troy Polamalu getting burnt by Sidney Rice, but Troy Polamalu is a Hall of Famer, and this is one comparison that a lot of fans seem to make when it comes to Harrison Smith as far as who is the modern incarnation of. And a lot of people say that it is Troy Polamalu. And when looking at their stats, they mirror each other very, very similarly. Interceptions, only a 5 interception gap, with Harrison Smith obviously still playing. Harry played a few more games, but still, the numbers are there and they speak for themselves. Of course, where it starts differing and why Polamalu would ultimately get the edge in this conversation is because of the awards and honors. He's got the Hall of Fame. He's got 2 Super Bowls. He's got 8 Pro Bowls as well. Harry's got 6. He's got 6 All-Pro teams, Harry with 2. And Defensive Player of the Year, he's got 1. So yeah, the awards and the honors do stack up a bit more in Polamalu's favor, but the numbers as well are a little bit more in Harry's favor, especially when you look at their career stats over the course of the regular seasons as well. Sacks, Harry's got more. Solo tackles, Harry's got more. Assisted tackles, Harry's got more. Combined tackle, tackle for losses, Troy Polamalu was more of a blitzing safety, don't get me wrong there. But Harrison Smith is still able to get back to the quarterback with those quarterback hits as well, getting 43 on there as well. The interceptions as well, like I said, in the yards off those interceptions with a difference of 100 yards and only one more to pick 6 for Harrison Smith. So yeah, we look at their numbers and they're very similar in the regular season, and even in the playoffs, they're not too drastically different. Same amount of tackles for loss, almost the same amount of combined tackles, where it's just a disparage of 9. And then you also have where the games played too. Harry hasn't played as many playoff games as Troy played, and he still has fairly similar numbers. Now, doesn't have the Super Bowls to go with it, but this is still a very interesting comparison to make when we're looking at Harrison Smith and the legacy that he's going to leave, into why, if anybody is thinking that Harrison Smith is not a Hall of Famer, you are absolutely out of your mind. Even the most hateful Packers fan, even the most hateful Lions fan, even the most hateful Bears fan would probably be able to admit that Harrison Smith is a first ballot Hall of Famer. If they can't admit he's a first ballot, they would at least admit he's a second ballot for sure. Because when you look at his contemporaries, this is a guy that when it's all said and done, he's going to be remembered with the greats like Troy Polamalu, Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, all of those guys that were just amazing shutdown safeties and had long careers, long historic careers, and just set the tone. And not to forget, the all-time great safety, Paul Krause. So it would be great if Minnesota was able to have 2 of the all-time greatest safeties on their team and have just a legacy of a secondary that can just be led on for, yes, big shoes to fill once they move on. But still, they have that mentality where now it's just like with running backs. We had Adrian Peterson, then Dalvin Cook came along, and now we have Aaron Jones. Same thing with wide receivers. We had Randy Moss, we had Stephon Diggs, we had Adam Thielen. Now we got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Potentially Cooper Kupp. Who knows if he's going to be coming to Minnesota? There's going to be a lot of interesting things that are going to happen there. Potentially a video coming on that soon, so stay tuned for that if it drops. But what do you guys think about the Troy Polamalu and the Harrison Smith debate? Do you guys think that it's a valid debate? I know, being a Vikings channel, we're probably going to lean towards giving Harry the edge on that debate. But where do you think Harrison Smith ranks all time in safeties? Is he in the top 5? Is he in the top 10? Is he in your top 15? Let us know down in the comments down below. It'll be very interesting to read your guys' comments and the list that you guys come up with. But with that, let us know how you guys think about this free agency. What do you think Minnesota needs to go from here? Because as far as I'm concerned, we've spent all the money that we can spend on free agency. Now it's shifting our focus to the draft. So now get ready for a lot of draft videos, because we're going to be pumping a lot out in the next couple of weeks, heading into, the next month really, because the draft is just over a month away. So stay tuned for all those episodes. You won't want to miss it. Hit that bell icon on the subscribe button so you don't miss any of those updates. But with that, I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.